All right, welcome. It is Texting Tuesday, which we do every Tuesday morning at 10:30 a.m. Eastern. We're going to do something a little bit different. As you can see, we have a guest today, and we're going to be talking about database optimization, how you can maximize your database, things that you can do retroactively, meaning like looking back or with your existing database, and then things that you can do proactively as you look to grow your database over this last month of December and into 2023 and beyond. So, Daniel, we appreciate you joining us today. Daniel is with EXP, and you're in North Carolina. Where?
In Charlotte.
Charlotte, North Carolina. So you can send your referrals to Daniel in Charlotte. And we're going to dig in real soon. But as always, a few housekeeping items. Number one, if you're watching on Facebook, do me a huge favor, hit the like button or the heart button. If you're on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, number one. Smash the bell, number two, so you're notified of new live sessions like this one. And number three, hit that like button. And unfortunately, it doesn't seem like we're streaming on LinkedIn today. Something is wrong with the live stream on there. But we'll get the recording up there as well. There is or are additional resources above or below this video in the description. And we've got a very special offer that is scrolling across the screen. It's a Cyber Monday deal that we've put together for those who may be interested. I realize it's not Cyber Monday anymore, but we're gonna honor the offer for at least today. We may extend it till the end of the week. You can get some incredible bonuses and try out our real script vault for just $1. So check that out below, or you can go to growwithjosh.com/CM. Growwithjosh.com/CM. So I want to give a little backstory as to why we're doing this today. I had a call with Daniel last week, I think, or the week before.
Yep.
It's getting a little blurry with the holiday. And Daniel he's been doing some lead generation. He's used street text. He's got some other leads and so forth, and just hasn't been seeing many or any tangible results. And this is the kind of thing that gets me, I don't know, it just hit me in a certain way. And I thought, if he's willing, then I'm willing to see if we can dig in and actually help him create some opportunities. Because anytime you've got a database, there are always some hidden opportunities in there. And it's just a matter of figuring out what and how to uncover those opportunities and give yourself the chance to grow your client base, right? So why don't you, Daniel, if you don't mind, letting folks know, we've got you're using KV Core because you're with EXP, right? So some of the things that we'll cover today are KV Core specific, but you can utilize the ideas, the concept with whatever platform or CRM you may be using. So KV Core, you've used street text to generate some leads.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And you also have some leads that have come from some other sources as well. Is that accurate?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I did it with, I have another business that coincides with homeowners and people that own property.
Right.
And then I also do some Google ads through the KV Core at one point. And then also, the regular stuff, realtor.com and Zillow.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what are you currently doing with those leads? Like, do you have a daily habit or routine, any weekly habits or routines? What does that look like for you currently? And if nothing, that's okay, right? If you're not sure what to do, that's fine too. I'm just curious.
Sure. No, I don't have a daily habit, to be honest.
Okay.
I have a weekly where I just kind of go in there and see. KV Core is great because it gives you some text alerts saying, hey, this person went back after 14 days or they favorited a property. So those are the alerts that I kind of go back and kind of maybe touch base with them. But I feel like I could be doing more. I just don't know how. I also have them on campaigns specific to the ads that I'm running, whether it's a valuation ad through HomeBot, which I do have that too. HomeBot's great. And then also through street text.
Okay. So that's good. So there are things in place, which is great. I'm I've got some things. I basically have a few different buckets of ways that we're going to unpack this. And for those of you watching live, if you have questions or things to clarify, you can go ahead and comment below on whatever platform. And I appreciate all of you who are already commenting. Winifred, hello. Charla, appreciate the fact that you're letting me know that you got the notification. Mike, good morning. Denise, good morning. Adrian, good morning as well. So first and foremost, I want to illustrate and it's this what a lot of what we're going to cover here is, we're using you as an example, but obviously it's to illustrate for all the opportunity that is likely hidden in your database. So I thought about doing this as a spreadsheet, but quite honestly, we're just going to keep it even simpler here and just break it down on a little Google Doc, which, by the way, I'll let everybody know in a minute. There are going to be several resources that are referenced in this session, and we will compile all of those resources for you. I'll let you know how you can get those as we do every week on Texting Tuesday. But let's think about it this way. So I was looking in your database. It looks like there's about 860 contacts. Does that seem right? And I know we were talking off air right before that there's some more that you maybe need to get in there, but what's in there currently, in there being in KV Core currently is about 860. Does that seem fair?
Sure.
Okay. And you can find all different numbers and averages of how frequently people transact with real estate, how often people move. Some of that is dependent upon the market. For example, in Pennsylvania, we're pretty conservative. And I would say that the time frame, the average years that folks are in a home in Pennsylvania would be different than some other areas. But we're just going to play with some numbers and some scenarios. So let's say that 5% of these 860 people are going to transact real estate. They're going to buy or sell real estate in the next year. So if that was at 5%, that would be 43 folks at 5% over the next 12 months if 5% of those people buy or sell real estate. And obviously, it's easy if we do 10%. So we'll do 86 at 10%. And we'll even do a more conservative number. Let's do 3%. That would be 26. I'm going to round up to 26 at 3%. Okay. Now, to help with this, to get a more a better idea of the dollar amount of the opportunity, what would you say, Daniel, is your average commission in your market? What's like a typical commission for you?
Sure. I mean, 2.5% to 3%. I always go lower just to be a little conservative. So 2.5%.
2.5%. And then what would be like average home sale? Or what would a typical commission, what would your average commission check look like?
About probably like around 6,000.
Okay. That gives us an easy number to work with. Okay. So going back over here to this, and I realize that this is a very simplistic way to look at this, but I don't think people do this often enough to understand the value of their database and the opportunity that they may have in front of them. So if we take the 5% number, 43 times 6,000 equals 258,000. Which means that the 86, and I'm just using my handy dandy calculator on my iPhone here. That would be 516, and 26 at 6,000 would be 156,000. Okay, which is great, right? But I want to take this a step farther. And and maybe I've found that this is a good way to re-evaluate the value of every contact in your database. Okay. So now I want to take this 258,000 divided, 258,000 divided by 43 means that, I'm sorry, not divided by 43, 258,000, doing math while live streaming, never a good idea, divided by 860, which is the total amount of contacts that Daniel has in his database. And so that means in this scenario that every contact, theoretically, $3,000 or $300 per lead is the value, or we'll say per lead or contact. Okay, so just bear with me here on this thinking. What I'm saying is, if theoretically, from these 860 folks, 43 of them are going to buy or sell real estate at an average commission of $6,000, that means over the next 12 months, that's $258,000 in gross commission opportunity. And if you take that number divided by the total contacts, it means that each lead cost or is valued at $300. $300. Okay, if you average that out. Okay. Obviously, that is going to be double in this scenario because we're just doubling that. But let's say we go the conservative route and we go 156 divide 860 equals $181 per lead. Now, the leading question here that I'll ask you, Daniel, is did any of the lead sources cost you $180 per lead?
Oh, no, absolutely not.
$300 per lead?
Nope.
600? What was your average cost per lead?
About $4.
$4. Let's say it's $5. Okay. Let's say it's $5 and we use our conservative example of 181. And let's even be one more conservative. Let's say that each lead is valued at $150. Okay. $150. So essentially what that means is for every time Daniel gives the lead provider, the lead source, $5, $150 is coming into his database. Now, we still have to do the work to realize that. But I think it's just a good way to change the perspective of the value of every contact in your database. And the more you value those contacts, the more, at least we find that we're willing and able to follow up and follow through and make sure that we're not leaving any opportunity, untouched or unrealized. Harry posted in the chat, that's a 30-to-1 ROI, right? So that essentially every $1 is returning 30. And honestly, I think I'm being conservative. Now, that is making the assumption that every one of those transactions that happen, Daniel is going to be the real estate agent on, which unfortunately is not the case. We often, from our own database, will have people that tell us, we already bought a house, we already sold a house, and it does two things. Number one, it frustrates me, but also it reminds me that I need to do a better job. Where did I drop the ball? What did we not do? In some cases, there's nothing we could have done. In some cases, there are things that we should have done. Okay, so now that we've sort of unpacked the opportunity, I want to get into some actual specific tactical things that you should be doing. Number one is sending every contact in your database a weekly email. And for those watching, you will get access to this document here, which has a full training class replay right here, and then some context and some specific tangible examples of the type of weekly email that I believe you all should be sending your entire database. Whether your entire database right now is 10 contacts, 100 contacts, 1,000 contacts, 10,000 contacts, or 100,000 contacts. This is the simplest and yet and also most effective way for you to a catch-all way for you to follow up and follow through and stay create and stay top of mind with your database. And if you structure it correctly, utilizing a platform like KV Core or whatever platform you have, what it also does is creates the opportunities for you to follow up and follow through with every week. So I mentioned already, I'll stop teasing now. If you want the document that we will put together with all of the resources, scripts, templates, etc., that we're going to be unpacking in this session. In this session, we may go a little bit longer. Typically, Texting Tuesdays are 20 to 30 minutes. This one may go a little bit longer because it's more of a brainstorming tactical session. But if you want all of those, just comment below in all caps, yes, Y-E-S. Comment below in all caps, Y-E-S. And Mike on my team, every week, he puts together all of the resources in a Google document. He will send that to you. However, if you're on the YouTube live stream, commenting in the live stream comment feed, we can't get access to that. You're going to need to email mike@growwithjosh.com. mike@growwithjosh.com. So my first sort of action item or homework assignment for Daniel here is to create and send this weekly email newsletter each and every week. And we recommend sending it Friday mornings at 8 a.m. or 8:30 a.m. Some of the folks in our organization send them Thursday, late afternoon, early evening, whichever works for you. Sending it on whatever schedule makes sense for you is better than not sending it. And Daniel, because you've, been a good sport here and been, a little bit vulnerable with us, we'll actually build that out for you in there, like a first example for you so that you have access. And then moving forward, you can simply clone it, make some tweaks, and send that out.
Well, thank you.
That's the first sort of simplest catch-all that I can confidently say. If I could prescribe one thing for every real estate professional for them to do with their database, it is send a weekly email following that format. Because number one, you're providing value and things that are going to be of interest to people in your database. And also, if structured properly, you're going to build a list of the folks that are warmer or hotter leads, because we build in that email triggers that will, for example, in KV Core, will mean or lead to people showing up in the dashboard as actively engaging with the pieces of the email. So I'm going to bring up the KV Core dashboard. And as you can see here, Daniel does have a fair amount of activity going on in here. Okay. And what that weekly email does is it will increase that activity. It will give him more opportunities to strategically follow up and follow through with those folks in his database. And in here at the end of this document, which again, you'll have access to, just comment below YES in all caps, YES. We talk about and go through the different activities or behaviors that we will follow up with on a daily basis every morning, and some examples of what we would send folks, which we'll get into here in a minute with Daniel's. But that weekly email then creates it creates the opportunities for us to follow up with on a daily basis. And so that's at the heart of all of this. We were also talking before we went live here, Daniel and I, that he does have some things in place. And it's obvious that he does have his folks on search alerts. So they're getting listings. And as you can see, people are, this fire notification means that they've looked at the property multiple times, or they've favorited the property. So he's got some things and activity going on here. And so one of the ways, that we follow up with folks when they're starting to engage like this is to simply refer or reference back. So let's see, I'm going to click on Lisa here. And so Lisa has, as it loads up here, she obviously is, at least on some level, interested in, where is that? Why did I lose it when I clicked on here? But this property here, 1421 Majestic Meadow Drive, right? And so I may send Lisa a text message that says, hey, and I'm not actually going to send this. Hey, Lisa, it looks like the property at, and I can even, I could directly put the address here, or I can select lead property interest as a field, may have caught your eye. Would you like me to send you more info or schedule a private VIP tour? No, thanks, Daniel. That's one simple example or way that that we can follow up with these folks that are looking at real estate. And certainly not all of them are going to respond. And certainly not all of them are going to want more information or a private tour, but a certain percentage will be. And many will respond that they're just looking, or, they were just curious or whatever. And any conversation or response creates the opportunity for us to have a longer conversation. So if somebody just says, "Oh, I'm just kind of looking," the follow-up would simply be, "Okay, that's great, Lisa. What has you looking?" Right? So there's obviously a reason that they're looking, and it may be that they're just dreaming. It may be that they're looking for a friend. It may be that they've been thinking about buying, but they don't know if they qualify. Who knows what the answer may be? But we won't know that answer until we initiate a conversation. And that is one simple example. Now, I see, David, also, or Daniel, that you have core video. And so that's a great way to follow up. And that could, become part of your daily routine, is sending a core video message through text and or email, making that same comment. Hey, Lisa, it looks like the property on Majestic Meadow Drive may have caught your eye. Would you like me to send you some more information, including disclosures, etc.? Or would you be interested in a private VIP tour? Let me know either way. Happy to help any way I can. Okay. And that personal message creates a connection that will help ensure that when their motivation hits a tipping point, that we've got a greater likelihood that they will come to us and want to work with us, because we've created that connection. Even though we may not have met them in person, they feel like they know, like, and can trust us through that live to camera video. Questions, comments, thoughts, or ideas around that simple sort of process? And then I have some other things as well. Daniel, nothing?
I guess I don't want to ask too many questions before you continue. So
yeah, okay. All good. All good. All right. So there is activity happening from this. That's a good sign. And I want to point out something that some people don't realize or aren't aware exists in KV Core. But if you go to business on the left-hand side, if you go to business analytics, you can see a few different, you can see the sort of the breakdown of the contacts noted as, and for some reason yours looks a little bit different. Maybe it's because, oh, no. There's a couple of different things. So you can see, number one, that we have 348 of the 860 are marked as new leads. 391 are sphere or prospect, and 121 are active. Active. That means those are people like Lisa, and there was a fella Dan. They're actually like looking at listings. They're coming back to the portal. They're taking actions, right? And there are definitely the weekly email and some other things that we can put in place are going to increase this number of active folks. And the more actively they're using the platform, the more likely they are to then utilize us if or when that tipping point comes. Now, there's a couple other things I want to highlight here. If I go to KV Core activity, let's see here. It looks as though, and this number, I found that this number isn't always 100% accurate. But of your contacts, according to this, of your 860, 592 are not set up on search alerts. Okay.
Okay.
And 847 are not set up on market reports. So this is some homework that I'm going to prescribe. And this is something that if you've got an existing database is painful, but profitable. From your existing database, you want to make sure that, number one, every single contact should either be getting a search alert or a market update. And some of them, both. Market update is what we use if it is a home value lead and we know their property address. So we have their address, and the way we do it with my database is we will set up a market update based upon the zip code of their property. So actually, do you mind if I show you with a contact? Like, do you?
Sure.
So I'm going to say that, folks, don't do anything with this contact record that I'm going to bring up here. All right. So I'm going to show. I don't have a way to blur this out live, but if we go back to that same contact, let me see if I can find one. You did say that you have some home value leads in there as well.
Yeah, they're in a home bot situation.
Okay. So your home valuation leads are not in KV Core?
No.
Okay. So that'll be another thing that I would recommend. I would get all of those contacts also into KV Core, and I would get them in with their address where it would go under the this box right here where it currently says NA, and I would get all of them set up on a market update also. So the market reports, I don't know why in the business analytics it calls it a market update, but it actually calls it a market report. But let's, in this situation, we don't know if this person owns a home currently, but we do know that she liked the listing in this zip code. So I'm going to copy that zip code. I'm going to go here and I can add that. I can add that zip code. It'll take a minute here to populate. I choose the zip code and I can send that report on whatever frequency I choose. We typically do it on a 21-day cycle because this person is already getting search alerts. You can see that they've got property alerts, so that's good. They also have a campaign that they're actively a part of. And then we're going to make sure that they get this market update as well. And the market updates are actually pretty sharp looking. Now, this person, I can tell by the campaign, they came off of a downsizing offer. Daniel, you had created that campaign with Street Text, correct?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's one that's working really well. And so another sort of homework or action item is for every lead that comes into our database, we do what I describe as fully dispositioning of the lead. And to do that, one of the things that we need to determine is, does this person already own a home? And so we've got to do this requires some legwork, but this then becomes part of your daily routine. Okay, so the weekly routine is send the weekly email. The daily routine is follow up with the new active leads into the dashboard, and also fully disposition all of the new leads. Okay, so the ways that some simple ways that we disposition the lead is we're going to start with true people search, and we're going to do a reverse phone lookup. If it'll cooperate with me. There we go. And for some reason, if you have to get rid of the one dash, otherwise it won't look good. Okay, so we did not find this number. That's interesting. And of course, that happens because anytime I'm doing something live here, that tends to happen. But the sources we use for this are True People Search. We use Spokeo to do an email check. And we'll also use Remine as another way of trying to find additional information or data for the leads in the database. So I'm going to see an example here. And actually, another thing I could do. This is getting bogged down here. Well, I might not be able to do that because it doesn't want to load for me. But we could also do the name lookup, where we could look up in here. What was her name? Lisa Smith Richardson. And we can go Lisa Smith Richardson, Charlotte, North Carolina. Now, this is somewhat of a common name, but that's interesting. I don't know why that one is showing up, since they currently live in Shenandoah Junction, but maybe she was visiting the Charlotte area and saw the ad, and that's what prompted her to opt in. It is interesting that she has LCS Richardson at Gmail, and this one is LCS Richardson at AOL. So it stands to reason that this might actually be the right Lisa Smith Richardson. Okay. So I'm not going to go any further in that, but I want to add that to, so oh, and I wasn't sharing my screen. Doggone it. So for every lead, we want to make sure that they've got a search alert and or a market report, and we fully because what we found is I am consistently sort of positively surprised by how many of the leads that come in already own a home. But you won't find that unless you do a little bit of legwork. But then what happens is now you've got another contact that you can put in HomeBot for the seller nurturing. And there are things that you can do within KB Core, putting them on a market report, making sure that you've got their address added to their contact record. And by doing that work, you are like deepening the connection with every one of your contacts. Now, the pain in that comes from retroactively trying to do that with your existing database. But the way you may attack it is, let's say that every day your plan of attack is threefold. Number one, following up with the active, your dashboard, right? The folks that they're coming back to look at properties, they're favoriting properties, etc. Number two, fully dispositioning new leads, right? If you're actively lead generating and adding to your database, fully dispositioning the new ones, the ones that came in over the last 24 hours, or if it's Monday, the ones that came in over the weekend, fully dispositioning those. And then for you, or for anybody here who has an existing database, you may set a goal to every day to fully disposition 10 old contacts, right? To like set a goal to have them all done in a week or a month. That's probably, that's overwhelming and daunting for most, but maybe just set a goal that every week you're going to do 10. That's 50 a week. That's 200 a month. And so in a little over a quarter, you've fully dispositioned your entire database. And you know, when you do that, that makes that, in my opinion and experience, that also increases the value of your database. Because when you know, and you've done the legwork to identify these are the people that already own a home, and you've got them segmented that way, it just makes the database significantly more valuable. Okay, so we've got as your action items the weekly action item of emailing, the daily action item of following up with the dashboard activity, and whether it be with text, email, or video text or email, fully dispositioning every new lead that comes in, and fully dispositioning, let's say, you know, 8 or 10 of the old contacts each and every week for that. Does that make sense? Do you have any questions about any of those prescribed activities?
I don't have any questions on that. The only thing I would say is, like, sometimes I feel like they get a lot of things from me. So for example, like, I thought, and I could be wrong, it would be a lot to send them in a market report and a home bot situation. You know, and sometimes, and I'm talking about this because it's happened before, where people are like, that's just too much. You're just bombarding me. And I get that too from other people that are trying to tell me something.
So the fact that you actually have that feedback is important and valuable. What I would say is most agents don't do enough, and they never find where that too much is. It seems like maybe you found that. And so for you, maybe you don't do the market reports, but you make sure that everyone that you have their home address, they're getting the home bot. Okay?
Gotcha.
And they're getting your weekly email. And maybe that's enough. Okay. But the big takeaway though is most people never find what's too much because they do far too little. They don't do nearly enough. And because they don't do nearly enough, they lose out on a lot of opportunity. That when they get excited about, you know, they come check out a Texting Tuesday, they send out a text blast, they get a bunch of people that said, oh, you know, we already bought a home. Right. Yeah. And it's because we didn't do enough to make sure that we had that opportunity when that arose. So it is a balancing act of finding the sweet spot of what's too much and what's not enough. But I would say, generally speaking, for most, what we think as too much is not too much. It's generally speaking not enough, as long as the information is interesting and valuable. And the HomeBot information that most people find interesting and valuable because it's about their specific property and their equity position and so forth. And most people also find the market reports interesting because it's about their specific zip code. And in some areas, you may even set it up for specific neighborhoods. Where I live, I'm in rural central Pennsylvania. We don't have like massive neighborhoods and subdivisions. So for us, it just makes more sense to do it by zip code. But in some areas where you've got a, you know, subdivision that's 2,000, 5,000, you can set it up for their specific subdivision. Gotcha. So for you, maybe I don't know what the perfect cadence is. It might be the weekly email, a market update that's every 28 days, and HomeBot. Or maybe it's just not the market update. Maybe it's just HomeBot and the weekly email. But the nice thing about having the two different platforms as well is someone can unsubscribe from one, but not the other. And just because they've unsubscribed from one doesn't mean they're not interested and they don't want to continue hearing for them. It's just that, you know, that's too much for them. And so you can address that when that comes up. But most people don't get to the point where they even get the feedback of, this is a little much. Can we tone it down?
You know, the way that happened was that I put everybody on a campaign that does texting or email, and I got that campaign from your program, which actually has given me most of my results of, like, people actually responding.
Okay.
And one of your campaigns included, hey, I forgot to ask you, are you currently renting or do you own? And that always kind of knocks off somebody to respond. And that was one of the things you said to do, and I have done that. I just have to kind of tweak it a little bit. Now, the only thing is that I remember you did say one time that if you're used to only talking to them in a texting format or email format, keep it that way. And I have done that. And people do usually do that, because I do that. I like to either stay in that form. Now, there was a couple of times where I'm like, okay, now it's time to call them, because they either viewed like 5 properties in like every day for like 2 weeks, but then when I call them, they don't answer. Like, it's just, I don't get it.
Okay, this is a great topic. So the point you're illustrating is, I recommend to keep them on whatever platform they're communicating. Stay on that platform until the only logical next step is to move away from that platform. In other words, until you get to the point where they want to see this house, or they're ready to, they are telling you, or you even suggesting to them, hey, it might make sense for us to just have a quick 5-minute chat. Okay. So instead of just you having that, I would actually get permission, right? Because if you call them without their permission, it's still, in their view, like it may just not be ready for them. But the conversation may get to the point where it's like you suggest, hey, this might be easier if we just had a quick 3-minute chat. Would you be available this afternoon at 4:30, or would tomorrow morning be better for you? Right? Because then it becomes their idea and their choosing.
Oh, okay.
The other thing that I think is critically important to do is, when you're having a back and forth, eventually I would definitely send a video message. And maybe that video message is what I just said. Hey, at this point, hey, Daniel, I appreciate all the information you've sent. I think I've got a good idea of what you're looking for, but just to make sure, it might make sense for us to have a quick 5-minute chat. Would you have some time this afternoon, maybe 4:30 or 5 o'clock, or would tomorrow morning be better? And then what that does is, it makes it their idea, not yours. And also, it's a logical way for you to introduce that personal connection. And I hear often from clients that I've generated through these sort of strategies and techniques, that the video was the thing. They felt like they knew me. They felt, they felt, because let's be honest, I think we have the second worst reputation as an industry in the country. Like, real estate agents, we just don't have a good reputation amongst the general consumer.
Yeah.
But when you can genuinely convey the type of person that you are, and that you're just trying to help them, it breaks down that, sort of association that they've created in their mind about what Daniel's about. Hey, Daniel just wants to sell me a house. No, I'm just here to help if and when you're ready. And I will even say that in my videos. Hey, I'm not trying to pressure or hassle you at all. I'm just here to help if or when the time is right for you, right? And just by taking that away, oftentimes people they're so they find it so refreshing that they then want to take the next step. You know what? Maybe we should chat, or maybe we should sit down for coffee, right? And then they make it their idea. So of these things I'm prescribing to you, the daily videos and making it a goal, and actually this would be, I'm thinking about making this a challenge for my organization, is 5 personal video messages per day out to contacts in the database that you don't know, right? Like people that you don't personally know, so that you're creating those connections each and every day. I just have found that it's extremely valuable. And as I'm saying that, I'm reminding myself that I haven't been doing it enough in my own business lately. I've moved away from that habit of doing that. And I think, I don't know. Anytime you can have a logical reason, somebody responds to a text, they respond to an email, anytime you can justify sending a video message, it generally speaking will take you the same amount of time to send a text reply, but it will make a significantly deeper impact with that person. And you can convey body language and tone that sometimes can get lost in text or email, right? We have all received emails or texts where we assumed a tone that was not intended by the sender. There's also some times where they're trying to send a tone and they don't, but you can't interpret tone from black and white text, right? And oftentimes if it's interpreted, it's the negative way. But if you're sending a genuine message, and you can, and it also, like, it doesn't have to be like this formal way, right? With KV Core, you can do them right on your phone. You can do them right in the app from your phone, and you can do them from your kitchen while you're having a cup of coffee, right? Like, people know now that most people aren't working in formal offices, right? You can do them from your car. You can do them whatever. Like, find a window of time that makes the most sense for you to do them.
Cool.
Questions, and then we've got some great comments in here. Okay, so video voicemail, birthday wishes, Facebook updates you every day. 100%. That's something that that's Heath in our EXP organization. That's something that I had done for a great deal of time. I had done from a great deal of time. I moved away from it, but I need to get back to it. But it's something I prescribe for folks who aren't comfortable on video. Go into Facebook every day. It will tell you who your Facebook friends that have a birthday. Click on that person, and you can send them a 20-second or less video message through Messenger. And that is a great way to, to A, get more comfortable creating those kind of videos. B, you have to be concise and efficient because they have to be 20 seconds or less. And it's going to make a big impact on the recipient, because what most people do is generically put, a happy birthday thing on their timeline versus you who are sending an actual personalized video message. That's a great way to do that. The two websites that I used when I thought I was sharing my screen, but I wasn't. Sorry. TruePeopleSearch.com. Okay. TruePeopleSearch.com. That's a free website that you can use where you can do name lookup, reverse phone lookup, and reverse address lookup. And then the other one is Spokio.com. Spokio.com, where you can look up name, email, phone, or address. It's just that Spokio does the email, whereas True People Search, you can't search by email, though they will give you emails if they can find them, like the example here. But those are two resources that Mike on my team does our dispositioning every day. And those are two resources that he uses on a regular basis. And then the other one that I mentioned is Remine, Remine. And I'm with Bright MLS, and we've got access to Remine with that. That we will often use if we have the address, but not the contact info. So, for example, street text home value leads where they put an address, but they don't give us other information. We'll often use Remine, where we'll pop in the address and we'll try and get some of that other information. Gotcha. Do I need BombBomb and KV Core to do the video, or how are you doing it? So Core Video in KV Core is the BombBomb. BombBomb is the engine, right? The Core, that's like their white label version of it, but it's BombBomb as the engine. And I would use it and recommend it. I use so much video in my business that I have the KV Core, I have the Core Video add-on. I pay for BombBomb separately because I like the way the Google Chrome extension works from the separate platform. And I use Loom, which is another great, simple way that you can send video messages. I'm not suggesting you should have all three, but I would definitely have one of them. And if you've got KV Core and you're committing to this, then just add the Core Video add-on, because it makes it's so you're removing friction in doing it because it's built into the platform, and you can very quickly and easily send video messages from the desktop or laptop version of KB Core, and you can do it right in the app version of it as well. Let's see here. So Kim, are you? Whoa, I got to get caught up on the comments here because we have conversations going on in the comment box. You know what? I may have to go back and answer these, but this is a great one. I want to share, Josh, using your newsletter template for just 3 weekends, and I have 2 listing possibilities and 1 purchase. That's great. Will that happen for everyone? Certainly no. I have no idea how large this person's database is that they're sending it to, but what I do know is it is unlikely that those opportunities would have presented themselves if they had not sent the email as prescribed, right? So doing something is always going to trump doing nothing for sure. All right. Let me see here. Thank you. Let's see here. What is your next step if they don't respond back? I'm assuming that question is related to the text message, right? So Lisa, we send, hey, it looks like this property caught your eye. Would you like more information or to schedule a private VIP tour? And it's crickets. Well, that's fine. She's going to get my Friday email. That may remind her, oh, you know what? I never responded to Daniel's text. Or it may not. But then next week, she favorites another listing and we send some similar variation. Or next week, this week, we sent a text only message. Next week, we send a video text message, right? So we vary the medium that we follow up, and who knows, right? Because you never know what's going on in their minds, okay? It could be that they were going to respond to Daniel and the kid started crying, or the microwave went off and they forgot, right? So that's why the weekly email newsletter is like the fail safe, because even if they don't open your newsletter, it's your name in their inbox every Friday morning or every Thursday afternoon or whenever you choose to send it, but it's every week the same time. And what that demonstrates to everybody getting it is like, number 1, Daniel's still in business. Number 2, he's consistent, right? And number 3, like he's providing things that he's not just trying to sell me something, right? He's sending cool stuff, interesting stuff that might be of interest to my family and I, things of that nature. Okay. Will we get a copy of the template? Kim, absolutely. So if you haven't already, many of you have already done this, but if you comment below yes in all caps, YES, Mike on my team will compile all of the resources that we shared here today into a document and send them to you. If you don't get that within 24 hours, email mike@growwithjosh.com, mike@growwithjosh.com, and he will be happy to send those. Let me see here. Yeah, this is perfect. I love this. Thank you for sharing, Paul. Be married to the process and not the outcome. If someone doesn't respond, stay the course and work the process. Also, volume makes up for a scarcity mentality. And I think the point he's making there is don't focus on the one person that said, screw you, because you followed up with them. Focus on all the others that you're building rapport and relationship and top of mind awareness with, right? Because the person that said, screw you, was never going to transact with you. And you probably don't want them as a client anyway, right? Because all you're trying to do is be helpful. All you're trying to do is be helpful. Great point. Well said, Paul. Any last questions, comments, or things that maybe we didn't cover well enough, Daniel, from your perspective on getting more from this existing database and moving forward?
No, everything was great. I think it just reiterated the things that I wanted to do. I thought I had to do, but it just kind of wrote it down and put it into perspective. The only thing is that when you have a database like this big, or not this big, but for me, it's a little on the bigger side,
Sure.
putting it all together. putting things into like A, B, and C columns to see like, okay, this person seems like they're going to be like 6 months out, but this person is like 2 months out, almost there. That's a big thing for me where I want to know how to do that.
Okay. So I don't think there's a perfect way to do that, right? But I'll give you some examples of how we think about it, let's say. So that Lisa gal, she's clearly looking at a lot of properties. Okay. And in fact, I'll bring up her record here. She's clearly looking at a lot of properties. And if we go to her listing alert, I'm going to look at her listing alert. Oh, so you have them sending out ASAP. Is that how you have it default set?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I do not do that. So that's interesting. So what we do is, and this will lead into the question you asked. What we do is, for example, folks that opt in for the downsizing offer, right? Get a free list, or see all maintenance-free homes available in Charlotte. We will set them up to get twice weekly an updated list of those properties. However, if or when they tell us more specifically what they're looking for, or another way you can do this is you see that they're actively looking every time you send them, up the frequency. So for example, if Lisa told us, I'm looking in this specific zip code in this price range, we would go and edit that search alert, and then we would set it to daily. Although the ASAP might make sense. We've just never done that, right? Let's say so that sorting out process is like everybody who's non-responsive, they're in the C pile, right? The B pile for me is they said we've had a conversation, they're interested, but they said, we're not looking to move until next summer. And so we make notes. We make sure that we are staying top of mind because we're sending them the weekly email. We've got them set up on a market report, and they're getting home bought, right? And they said next summer, so I'm going to make a note also that I'm going to personally follow up with them. If next summer is 6 months away, I'm going to personally follow up with them in 2 or 3 months, right? Okay. And then you have the A that are ready, they're hot and ready to go. Those might be the ones that they're getting the ASAP listing alerts. In many cases, if we know that they're ready, willing, and able, like they're pre-approved, or they've demonstrated that they're hot and ready to go, we'll even do the alerts in our MLS just to have it on another system. And usually the MLS deliverability is a little bit better and cleaner, and sometimes the data feed is a little bit wonky. So that's another way that that I do it, because if I know that the people that I have on MLS search, I've already had a more detailed conversation with them. So that is a natural sort of segmentation. But I honestly, I don't worry too much about the ABC, because the weekly email is my catch-all. We use the dashboard and activity to guide our follow-up. And we take, this is an age-old, real estate coaching thing. But if somebody tells you they're looking to sell in 6 months, well, we chop that in half, and we got to make sure that we're going to personally follow up with them. But the safeguard or the fail-safe is they're still going to get the weekly email. They're still going to get the home bot, right? Like you're going to stay front and center. And because of that, if their timeline changes, they've got you in their inbox, so they can hey, we're actually thinking we're ready to sell now, or whatever, right? So in doing all of these things, what will happen is, and this comes with time, seasoning of database, and maybe a larger database, is you just will naturally get on a regular basis, whether it's daily, weekly, where people they respond to what's going on, and they will tell you. I think Dean Jackson, who's he's one of the greatest marketing minds of all time, and a legend in the real estate space. He calls it, you'll get people that send you a love letter. Basically, you get emails or texts. Hey, I've been getting your messages. We haven't chatted. Here's what I'm looking to do. What's the next step? Right. And those people are your clients. Like, you just have to make sure you don't drop the ball. Right. And those are the ones where you're like, hey, thanks for reaching out. We can definitely help with that. And depending on, maybe it's, it was a home seller lead. Hey, when would be a good time for me to pop by for a few minutes so I can take a quick tour? We can go over selling options and see what makes sense for you. Would this afternoon or tomorrow morning be best? Right. But that comes with time and seasoning and growing the database and just staying top of mind, being, making it clear that you're in the business without being pushy or salesy or having commission breath kind of thing. So,
Okay.
Winifred, could we do a 30 to 45 day follow-up with Daniel? Oh, you mean like a following up with him maybe after the first of the year? Hey, that's up to him. I think that's a great idea.
No, that's a great idea.
Yeah, actually. I'll make a note to do that, and maybe we'll have him on, first or second week of January. That would be cool.
Awesome.
Yeah, that would be awesome. All right. A couple more things here. I use KV Core. How do I set up a market report for potential sellers? Great question. You would, let me share the screen here. So when you bring up the contact record, do you know any of these in here, Daniel? Do you have any idea if any of these are, you know what? Actually, let's do this. Maybe it'll cooperate, maybe not. We'll filter. Do you have them segmented by seller? If you've got, you don't have your seller leads in here.
No, but I think I might have some seller leads in there.
Okay, well, we'll see if we can pull any up, and if not, I can show how to do it regardless. Okay. So let's see what happens when we pull up seller. Actually, I could have had. Okay, well, maybe one of these will work. So you pull up the record, and we've got an address here. So we've got the address in here, and I'm gonna copy this zip code, and I'm gonna go over here and see where it says market reports on the right-hand side. You can add, put the zip code, or again, you don't have to use zip code. I use zip code. It works for me in my market, but you can use city, zip code, or neighborhoods. And even in some MLSs, you can do like by township, or there's other ways that it's kind of broken down in certain areas. But the easy one that anyone could use the zip code. You choose that, and then you choose the frequency that you want it to be sent, and then you would click add. And when you do that, I'm not going to do that with this one, but when you do that, you also have the option to immediately send them the report. So if, for example, if I choose 28 days, it's going to send them the first market report 28 days from now. But I can choose then to send it immediately if I want. Actually, here, I'm going to do this because it won't send it it's not going to send it now. But you can see now I can send now. So it's going to send Charles the market update in 28 days. But if Charles hasn't gotten any info from me in a while, which it doesn't look like he's gotten an email since September 25th, I'd probably want to go ahead and just send that now. And then also he'll get it 28 days from now. Now I'm going to remove that, but and so part of my prescribed actions for Daniel were including that every contact in KV Core should either be on a search alert or a market report. And in some cases, both, right? And the other thing to note is, Daniel, you may choose with your seller leads, because you've got them in HomeBot, not to do that. But many of you listening, you may not be using or have HomeBot. And so if that's the case, you definitely need to have them on a market update for sure. So, all right, we've gone on, I think, for long enough. I've taken more than enough of your time. I hope that was well worthwhile for you, Daniel. I appreciate the wonderful comments and activity and so forth. One last time, you can comment yes below, all in caps, YES. Mike will send you the additional resources, etc., that we promised. If you don't see them within the next 24 hours or less, just email mike@growwithjosh.com, mike@growwithjosh.com, and then we'll get Daniel on early in 2023 for a follow-up. And Daniel, I'll also say that we promised you, for you being willing and vulnerable here. If you need help setting up anything, if you want to set up a new street text campaign and you want to get it all integrated together the way we do it and build it out, just let me know, and Mike and I will be happy to do that.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
Awesome. Thanks, everybody. If you need anything, please don't hesitate to reach out. There's some great additional resources above or below in the description. Comment below if you have a question, or email mike@growwithjosh.com. Let's make it a great rest of the week.
Thanks.